Siyabonga kakhulu Prashisha Opondo, our program director, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Sanibonani. Ninjani. Ngifuna ukuzwa ukuthi niyaphila ngempela yini. Qomeka kapisa. Kapisa nkomu putwa khona yebakithi ebakithi. Qomeka kapisa. Kapisa nkomu putwa khona yebakithi ebakithi. Dade wethu ngamtshela umama. Ungamtshela umama. Dade wethu ngamtshela umama. Ungamtshela umama. Qomeka kapisa. Kapisa nkomu putwa khona yebakithi ebakithi. Qomeka kapisa. Kapisa nkomu putwa khona yebakithi ebakithi ebakithi. Ayi nikhona. Nikhona. Siyabonga kakhulu. Siyabonga kakhulu. I would like to take this opportunity and on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Nana Poku, and our Deputy Vice Chancellor of the College of Humanities, Professor Nhlanhla Mkhize, to welcome you to this important lecture today on the Battle of Isandlwana, to be delivered by our artist in residence, Mbuso Khoza. Ngithandeke ukuthi uma sisendaweni efana nale ngikhuleke namhlanje sine lecture ye battle yasesandlana okuyimpi yasesandlana okuyimpi ebalekile emlandweni wakwaZulu. Ngithanda ke ukuthi ngikhuleke ke kuzona zonke inyanya zakiyo le ndawo esikuyona lapha sikhona kule ndawo esikuyona kakhangela amankengane kwakuyisigodlo lesi sesilo ilembe leqamanya amalembe ngokukhalipha isilo sakwaZulu inkosi uShaka umjokana kaNdaba usala kutshela usala kunyanyezelwa uShaka akashayeki unodume ehlezi kaMenzi ilembe leqamanya amalembe ngokukhalipha uTeku labafazi bakaNomgabe ababetekula behlezi emlovini bethi uShaka akaye kubusa kanti inakunyakana uShaka ezakunethezeka khona. Siyakhuleka esilweni uShaka, sikhuleka engonyameni okwakuyiyo eyayibusa ngesikhathi sempi yasesandlwana. Inkosi uCetshwayo, umbombosho omnyama, uZulu eladuma obala lapho lungemunga kungemtholo, uHlamvana bhula umlilo endulinde, ubaswe uMantshonga benoqelebana. Siyakhuleka esilweni uCetshwayo. Ngingekeke ngalibala ukukhuleka esilweni sakwaZulu okuyisona esibusayo njengamanje uBhejane ephuma esiqiweni. Kungani ngiqala ngalendlela noma nginibingelela ngalendlela? Impi yasesandlwana is one of the very important histories of our country. So if you go to Google and look for the Battle of Isandlwana, you will see, if you haven't done that, please go and visit and look at the address of Benjamin Disraeli, who was the Prime Minister at the time. In his speech, where he made the white people to cry, because he actually asked, who are these Zulus? Who are these people? Abakwazi ukuthi banqoba amangisi. uZulu ke wakha umlando wenza umlando ngesenzo esenzeka esandlana kodwa ke sizozwa ke sine artist yethu namhlanje ezokwazi ukuthi isithathe isibeke. We are grateful as the University of KwaZulu-Natal to the Andrew Mellon Foundation, who granted us funding for the artist in residence to promote African scholarship through arts. This is funding for 3 years that represent all our art forms within the School of Arts. We've got the creative, we've got the literary, we've got the performing arts, we've got African languages. So all our art forms are represented within this funding. We are grateful a lot to Professor Zulu, who was the mastermind behind us getting this funding, who's the co-PI in this funding. I'm so grateful to Dr. Patricia Opondo, who made it possible that the performing arts are represented. I'm grateful to Professor Washington, who is the cluster leader for the performing arts. I'm very grateful to you, colleagues, for all your work. I'm grateful to Dr. Mazibuko, who is also here today, also part and parcel of the artist in residence. Before I sit down, we have witnessed in our country series of violence that has been towards women, towards children. So as the University of KwaZulu-Natal, I do want to say that, like, we condemn any form of violence. We condemn any form of Afrophobia that we have seen. We urge all of you to work with us. We work together. We come up with indigenous ways of dealing with issues of forgiveness, because many people are still hurting. They haven't gone through the process of forgiveness, so we need to deal with issues of forgiveness. We know that the Western system of education undermined our indigenous knowledge systems, our indigenous epistemologies. So it is time now that we go back to our roots. We go back to who we are, singobani thina. So that is why in 2019, UNESCO identified 2019 as the year of indigenous languages. So they want us to use our indigenous languages to dig down into our indigenous epistemologies. So, which is why we are so grateful that Mbuso Khoza has done a good work in terms of reviving Amahubo, which are a scroll of the nation, and what he has shared for the past 3 months that he has been here with us, with our African music and dance students. With those words, welcome to the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and welcome to the lecture on the Battle of Slangan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Longa, for a lovely, warm welcome. And I must admit, I was amongst those Googling. And it's interesting seeing the multi-vocal histories on the history itself of the battle. So today we'll have another telling of the history through a heritage specialist, someone who's interviewed so many people for many years, but I'll introduce him a little later. I now stand here to introduce you to Equus Oscillator. Equus Oscillator is an African music and dance ensemble in the music cluster. I serve as the artistic director, working with all my teachers, from Lebo to Jose, to Eric Sunudo, to Mfundi, who helped me train these students. But beyond that, these students are exceptionally creative. The repertoire that we're preparing or presenting today is something we prepared specifically for your talk, Mbuso. And this talk was meant to happen in July, so we've been rehearsing it for a few months. We took it overseas, so we'll be interested to see your interpretation or your reaction to that. So I call onto the stage Equus Oscillator performing their commemorative dance piece. we're at war. So we call that the Battle of Equus Oscillator. We're fighting imperialism, we're decolonizing the spaces everywhere because we believe Africa is the future. And what's exciting is when you have young people so passionate about their heritage, their history, then we know UKZN, we're doing something right. Because these are our final year students, and they're tomorrow's artists, incredible choreographers. This piece is choreographed by the ensemble. So let's give them a big, big round of applause. Now it's with much humility that I introduce our keynote speaker, who will be giving us the public lecture today. I think most of us know who he is, but you might be a little curious to know a little bit more. So I've dug up a bit of his history. I'll tell you his age, where he was born, his marital status, and all other. His address is the only thing I don't have. So Mbuso. Much has been written about the enigma, Mbuso Khoza. 39 years old, from Eshowe, northern KZN. He made his first impact as a solo artist following the critical success of his debut album, Zilindile. We need to get that album. However, he'll tell you a little bit about what happened with that later when we're having lunch. So let's go to where Mbuso is in 2016. He formed the African Heritage Ensemble, who are seated on the second row here, and soon we'll see them on stage with him. It's an a cappella group dedicated to singing of Amahubo, the ancient Zulu hymns. The project was simply a stunner that, while eliciting a roar of approval from music lovers, also imposed a serious dilemma for those bent on finding a fitting label for this artist, Mbuso Khoza. We knew him in the jazz scene. He won lots of awards as a jazz singer. African Heritage Ensemble. It's such an honor to have the full ensemble here today. We invited you for Calabash 2018, and we only had 4 of you. I've seen you perform all over the country. You know, we exaggerate a bit, but we've seen you perform everywhere except here. So today it's really a great honor. And again, to see such young, beautiful voices, artists. You'll see them in a second. You'll see them in a second. But now I focus back on Mbuso. Amahubo. At this point, you say Amahubo, the first name comes to you, Mbuso Khoza. 2018, when he presented at the Calabash Festival, that's the annual festival we have in October, that was my first exposure to his rendition of Amahubo. And what struck me is he doesn't just perform a litany of songs. His performance is a lecture and an education. He feels that the context of each song he's going to perform has to be very relevant, and you have to get that message. And that's part of his performance everywhere he goes. Even in his rehearsals, I say, Mbuso, let's get to the song. I'm like, no, let's talk and talk and talk. But it's good talk, because I learn, you know, these 3 months, it's better than going to the library, because in the library I think there are 2 references on Amahubo. the stellar PhD by Professor Musa Tulu, who graduated from this institution, was the first black, well, second, because we had Bongani Mtetwa, but second black African, South African to get a PhD in ethnomusicology. And his thesis is one of the longest theses in the library. Pages. Bongiseni, how many pages is that PhD? But it behooves us all to go and read, because when someone has so much to say and we don't consult these references, then we're the worse for it. So the books are there in the library. We need to all go take a look at the work that Professor Musa Tulu did. So after the Calabash, anytime I saw Mbuso Khoza, I had to go to his concert. I don't think I've missed any public open concert in Durban. So at the Bat Center in March this year, he had 2 shows. The first show was really out of this world with a gifted African Heritage Ensemble. And I saw what really makes this amazing artist tick. So parallel to this, earlier than that, we had this Mellon project, and we had to identify 2 artists in residence, one local from South Africa and another from anywhere else in Africa. So I said, well, for me there's only one choice, and it had to be Mbuso. And yeah. He epitomizes all we aspire for here in the AMD program. If you know a little bit about who our teachers are, we always look for cultural custodians. You don't have to, I know Prof, at the university you must have your PhD and your masters, but for us in the performing arts, especially in the heritage sector, we want people who embrace and live the heritage. And for us, the transmission of the learning process, the enculturative process is equally important as the artistic side of things. So Mbuso came here to work with us, and this is the end of 3 months. It's actually been about 3.5 months. And he'd come every Monday diligently to work with our new Amahubo ensemble. We selected first-year students and not final year students, with the purpose that for me, this is the beginning of a journey. I want that next year, the ensemble grows bigger. And so by the 3rd year, we see the developments within Amahubo. So back to introducing Mbuso. I have his personal bio that I'll share during lunch, but I'll conclude by saying that he's an award-winning vocalist, the person you're gonna see. He's had a bit of a difficult month, losing his voice, which I think is the biggest nightmare for any singer. He was already asthmatic, so I know sitting on the carpet there is already troubling him. And he has a symposium at Wits on Sunday. I don't know when he sleeps, but his guardian angels, and I think particularly his mother, protects him every night. So Mbuso, we continue to pray for you and your health. Mbuso is also a songwriter. He's a columnist on Isolezwe, a beautiful writer actually. And the part I skipped was his education, but I'm sure when he talks today, he'll tell you a bit about his own education and how he's so wise. So he's a contributor on UKZN FM. He's a master's student at Wits University in Arts Heritage. And here at UKZN, it's our greatest privilege to bestow on him to be one of our Andrew Mellon Foundation Artists in Residence. Welcome, Mr. Mbuso Khoza.
Igama lami nguMbuso Khoza, ngiphuma eShowe. ukhokho wami omkhulu waba usikhonyane owala impi yokugqabuka kwegoda phakathi kwesilo umpande nomne wabo isilo sakwaDuku isilo sasemgungundlovu Dingane. Kwase kuthi ngo-1879 ukhokho wami omkhulu uNtshingwayo kwaMahole ozalwa umlilo owaye uGeneral Commander wempi yaseSandlana. It is indeed such an astounding opportunity for me to be standing in front of academics, cultural practitioners, presenting the Battle of Isandlwana. However, before I begin to unpack the key important aspects of this battle, allow me to introduce to you guys the African Heritage Ensemble so that we do a prayer even before we start. Thank you. Before they even, to look at other people's amnesia. Kuthiwa ababe khona zathi mayimile ngale ezakithi zishanga unyawo kanye zakhetha there's something called isigubho senqindi. There is ihubo. That is a scroll of the nation, that is a prayer of the nation in different stages. But there are amahubo that are designed for particular events, such as the hunting spree. Isigubho senqindi. Kuthiwa bathi basebenze manje bathi mihlambi yezimbabwe nabantu. Isilo sawadukuza umlilwane sikithi sigidi owaziwa ngegama likaShaka ngenxa yomlando wokuzalwa kwakhe mhla kuyophalwa owathi uNkwelo wathi hayi uShaka lokhu akaphethwe iShaka nje kuthiwa wathi mayifika ngo-1816 ebuncaneni bakhe bese wajoyina ibutho kwakusho uthule ezithwa the dust of the dawn. Kuthiwa indlela ayihlabana ngayo ilembe because when we narrate our history we need to touch all the important things that happened before we got to the battle. Because it's easy, you can just Google. About 1879, Isandlwana, that's it. But why is this particular battle? It's so important. And in this battle, there were regiments that were trained by Elam, and there were regiments that had a mentality of Elam, and a Zulu state of mind took over. Elam, in 1816, after being trained and mentored by Ukodomane, Equus Oscillator, who was an already established kingdom, because what I hate about what historians wrote about Ushaka, they led to elevate a black person among others as if they are nothing. There were already established kingdoms even before when King Shaka took over. Ukodongwana was already a kingdom. King Zwide was already a kingdom. This is why we have no more today, because he always God. What do you know? Twilight man figure. Zwide. This guy was a veteran, in the battlefield. But he used a lot of intelligence. And then he lost his mind. He went into this bush. He would just go out aduning over and then for the first time, no, but I need to give you some regiments. You can't just go there alone. You're still here. And then they went there. The first time he attempted to attack, came out in wrath and everyone ran. And then he came back again. And they say the focus of Willem was so much on the veterans about rain like me. These are the problematic guys who can kill me. And then when they went back to Kukodongwana, how? That's how he got his name. So, ladies and gentlemen, he composed a song. King Shaka was a beautiful singer and a very handsome man. I don't know though. Kuthiwa even mayidlula ngasemalawini kwasibawona manqulu mendulo, they say they would admire his voice vibrating. Moving intombi zimthande emhle, not that. So this song that he composed, it goes like this. Just to give you a little bit of, why Mahu was so important. What made those warriors or regiments have so much courage? Someone is being shot in front of you with your Dela Rosula. They were not promised tenders. The only thing that they were fighting for was the future of our kids. 1838, December 2, the Afrikaners fighting with the Zulus again. A song came. Among as Professor said earlier, they serve as the scroll of the nation, and they also serve as the prayers of the nation. It didn't matter whether we read the Bible or not. God looked deep down at the sincerity of our hearts, how dedicated we were at that time, and how much love we had for each other at that time. the Battle of Ndondakusuku. When you drive to north of KZN, we have bought Mandini, but it's not Mandini, it's Mandela. There are trees called Iminde. And then after the Battle of 1856, December 2, there were bones that were found. In isiZulu, we respect, or in isiNguni, we have so much respect for our adults, for our elders. When we bury them, because we do not burn them, we don't call their bones amathambo, ngoba ithambo into engathathwa kushona yinja. But it's a city amande, sebemande amhlophe from the word uwenda, a verb uwenda, uwendela kweli magade, yini igade. Umhlaba lo uyingquluka uyindilinga kanjena kuthiwa yini ngithi singabengabade thina from igade igabade. So thina shuthi singabengabade yani eningizimu neAfrika. So these are the very important things, basic things that we need to know about who we are. There was a song that came out there, a very, very soulful song, after Petrov had a fight with his brother. They stole his cowhide shield, and then did things, traditional things. They stole Mbuya's traditional cowhide shield, and then they gave it to Petrov. He was kneeling on top of it like this, because Mugabe did not want him to become a king. At that time, they said, and then a very classical song came out. So among us are responsible for the formation of our identity, and during the Battle of Sandana they play the people role. And I'm about to chase them away, or excuse them. This is a show. Maningi amahombo aphuma ngesikhathi sebeso sandlala nashona ilanga. But there is this one that is so important. After they fought on the 22nd of January, and then the king gave an order to guys, now you don't follow them. It's done. Because there was a press release, press conference overseas, saying for the first time, being conquered with people who were technologically challenged, because the only thing we had were our shields and spears. And then, what figure, you know those guys after you had a party or you're meeting up people, we grew up fighting where I come from as a young boy. You know, you get maybe a group from Wabashi and you from Umlas and others will know, that's what happened, and they followed these people. And what happened, they were already, some of them, Baba said they crippled, and then, but they were well out. The Rogue Street Missionary. And that's the memory that you need to face if you want to sort out these animosities, because people who are Christians and people who are learned, somehow when we were growing up, it was like Yes, they're Africans, but they wish they were something else. Oh no! Inkosi, must do me sometimes to me, Inkosi. Why Lord? Why so much slavery? So the truth was lucky in the social, and then was defended. More than 3,000 people died there. Some of them did not even die from gun. They were paraphiles, they managed to carry We are not here to teach you guys to hate white people, but we are here to teach you the importance of knowing of who you are so that the past mistakes won't catch up with you. As they were fighting, there was one guy who said, hence I said, Amahuba is the crown of the nation. And this particular song seeks to safeguard that moment. There was a guy who said, I may give you that 20 minutes of my life. Thank you so much to the African Heritage and Stellar. Thank you so much, UKZN and Mellon Foundation, artist in residence, for making me part of this beautiful program. Usolwazi, umama unobuhle Hlongwa, Ndabezitha unogwaja kaZulu, uprofessor Nthokoza, ubaba umfoka Washington, uprofessor, ngiyabonga kakhulu of the support that you've been giving me for the past years. I mean, you came when we launched the African Heritage Ensemble with your beautiful wife in 2016. Thank you so much for the support and love. Dr. Opondo has adopted me as her sibling. She challenged me publicly on Facebook that we would like to have you. I was like, or maybe it's out of excitement because she saw a video. It happens. You know, people would comment on your event and say, we are coming in numbers. And then you see them checking out in Cape Town. You're like, oh, okay, I know. And I'm so happy to see Ubabu Rafael Vilagazi, who's also a cultural activist, trying so hard to decolonize the opera music and to make sense to us. And I've attended one of his events, and siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi ube phakathi wethu. 1879, January 22, the battle between the British soldiers and the Zulu army. What was the cause? One of the most compelling ultimatums that were put forward by Shepstein, Theophilus Somzica, Beno Henry Battle, no Port Danford, was that King Cetshwayo should disband his army. Can you go to America or to Germany and tell Germans to disband their armies? It doesn't make sense. One of the things that were really hectic at that time is that this particular soil was called the Republic of Natalia. There is a guy by the name of D. Urban, who was a government official during the days of the Cape Colony. But ma bethola isibhaxu ngale beshawa amabhunu kuliwa base bemdeploya in Durban, in Republic of Natalia, and that's how this city was named. But in actual fact, the name of this city is eThekwini. When King Shaka was looking at Bluff, well, he saw some sort of a mountain shaped like a ball of, or like the balls of a bull. Amasende, isende lenkomo kuthiwa yithweka ngesizulu. Why I said, how lentaba yama njengethweka? So, language does not come from ethnicity, but it comes from moving and different environments and meeting new people. And this is why today we have, instead of Xhosas, we have Xhosas in other areas. So, the main objective of the English was to colonize us. Simple. They had their weapons: religion, education, the so-called civilization. Because, you know, Romans, when they went to other countries to preach the gospel of Jesus, not Yeshua, then Joseph, talking about Jesus, they use different mechanism. They would just say, are you going to accept the Lord? And you say, no, I'm an African. And then they take your hand, they cut you and say, what do you say? So, let's negotiate differently. And then you go to church. But when they came here, I think they realized how spiritual we are. We have a mahubo. We already called God Omkhulu Womkhulu, not Nkulunkulu. It's English. They failed to say Omkhulu Womkhulu, and they say Nkulunkulu, because it doesn't make sense. What does Nkulunkulu mean? But when we say Omkhulu Womkhulu, it means the one who was worshipped by those who were before us. Lowo owakhonzwa yilabo abasendulela. So we need clarity around these things, because words carry spirits. Words have got histories. So, King Cijayo Dlamvuzo Dampande was against the idea of going to the battlefield. He was of an idea that we should negotiate. But Henry Battle, they were like really pushing, we need to go to the battlefield so that whoever is conquered, we take the land, we take over the jurisdiction of the Republic of Natal will also apply in the Zululand. What is the Zululand? When you cross the river Uchugela, and then you're in Zululand. And why is it called the Zululand? After, we all know the history of Umalandela and his two sons, Ukwabe no Zulu. Ukwabe was the older one, and Uzulu was a younger one, but he happened to be a mother's favorite. You know, normally they say a younger son is always a mother's favorite, and the older one is always a father's favorite because he's an heir and he should take after him. And so, and then they had a clash, and then Ukwabe moved, and then Uzulu remained, and then he had his own chieftaincy at that time. This is why there was a Zululand. So that when we are addressing the issues of tribalism and why is Zuluness and why Xhosaness, we should know, where does these things come from? Because at this stage we're talking about the fight against tribalism, and others are saying we should eliminate all the tribes and start all over again. So do you mean that we should eliminate all these navigational systems that can help us to trace where we come from? But it's a topic for another day. So, they tried by all means, therefore, that they have a day on the battlefield with the Zulu nation. At that time, the key leaders in this, Port Danforth was there, Sir Theophilus Shepstein was there, just to mention the few, and Henry Bartley, of course. But Shepstein could speak isiXhosa fluently and isiZulu fluently. So now, as they were preparing for this battle, they would walk from Eshowe, from Ngutu, from all over, walking to Ondin Palace to discuss the plans of this battle. And whilst they're there, and they were walking barefooted, and the Abo Shepstein with their wagons, they would go visiting different households. They find Umama busy, elima laphayana, elima umbila, and then they say, "Hi, Sanbona," and then they offer maybe some biscuits, maybe it's something you've never seen before. You taste it, oh, it's so nice. And then they have a dress. They give you a dress, and this tuaba is very heavy in a sunny weather. And this is light, and when I'm working, it's easy. And then, but okay, we need to talk. Do you like this? Yes. But there is this God that we need to teach you about. Now, you were in Ondini, and you come back home, your wife says, he's not going to be part of the preparation of Mkombot because it's demonic. But in church on Sunday, they have wine. Isidlos. It doesn't make sense. So now that's when abuse took over. The husbands would beat up their wives because they were angry. So what happened? They would run to the missionaries. And historically, even today, wobani abaningi kakhulu esontweni namadoda nabantu besifazane. It's a historical fact. Right. And then the battle took over. We all know, you can read about it, but I'm here to touch on the very important aspect of this battle and what you should take with and what new questions you should be asking. Because, I mean, one of the reasons at home when our grandmothers would be narrating history, we get bored because they would tell you one of the same thing, you know, so when we are addressing these notions, these topics, we should have aspects that will take us forward. Because the Battle of Isandlwana fought and we conquered the British, and so what? What else that we can do around it? So, after that battle, the second battle, as I said earlier, was the rogue drifts. They were defending the missionary house. Defending the missionary house after writing to Queen Victoria that most of their soldiers were dead, so they wanted more. In that battle, the son of Napoleon Bonaparte, who was supposed to take over after him, died in Engut. It's very historical. And then the churches started to spread. Let's face this. Christianity has brought so much pain into the lives of Africans, but not Jesus. Wherever Jesus is right now, I'm sure his heart is bleeding because he left people with the commandment of loving God with all of their hearts and loving your neighbor with all of their hearts, which was something that we were already practicing. If ungenankomo besikusisela thina kushuthi besimthanda umakhelwane wethu njengoba siyithanda. It's nothing new. Why am I saying they have brought so much pain to us? The colonization of ears, the colonization of tonality. Look at our national anthem. It's a church hymn. It's not a national anthem. I had this chat with Ubaba, Minister Natim Teta, live on Kaya FM. We had this debate that we don't have a national anthem. However, we appreciate the efforts of Ubaba Enoch Sontonga. He wrote beautiful lyrics, prayerful lyrics, but the melody is colonized. It's the same thing. It relates with the Europeans, it relates with the Methodists, because Enoch Sontonga went to Lovedale, School of Missionary, so he was taught how to notate music with the methodologies of the West. I asked this question in front of the king 2 weeks ago, that when you watch Bafana Bafana playing, they practice all these European things in the ground. They stand like this. Like, on a battlefield, we'll never sing like that. You can imagine a national anthem that has the Khoisan nuances. And then you have a Xhosa section, and then you have a Zulu section, Betty. But Iswa imithanda so yethu sebethi Nkosi sikele, and bame ngendlela yokuthi we are here to fight for our country. Bangabe uthantashiya. So the problems that we are facing today are the result of the spreading of the churches. To an extent that in a room full of black people, you find a pastor preaching until he sweat in English, struggling in English. God is about to take it forward. Let's send somebody. It's like, what? You know, but when you study about the character of Yeshua, he was an academic, he was an intellectual, he could debate, he never made noise. Yes, I am looking forward to a day when in a church, a pastor during the week will send everyone the verse that we're going to discuss on Sunday. Then we're going to have a dialogue. I'm going to present it, but tell me what you think about it. But you have one man standing in front of you and telling you what to do. In our culture, you would have a king standing in front of you, but he is surrounded by the courtiers that can address the nation. It's not like the king. Today we are going to this. No, it didn't work like that. So many things after the Battle of Isandlana went wrong. Even when you check the Bible, they say David wrote Amahubo. What? Those are poems. That's a poem. What Ihubo means to us, these are the sounds that are derived from the reaction of the nature. When it's about to rain, you hear a sound of a wind. And when it's raining again, you hear a sound going like until the rivers are full, and then the vowel changes to bese kuthiwa imfula iyahuba, imifula iyaholoba. And the ihubo is meant to document a particular event that took place at that time and safeguard it and make sure that it remains. Each time that song or ihubo is sung, people are reminded of that occurrence. David was talking about his own experiences, talking to his God. Akuwona mahubo ke lawo. Challenge me historically. I'll give you a practical example. The family of Umhlongo, one of their great-great-grandfathers was Ulugoloza. Ulugoloza's son was Unqeshe. Unqeshe had Umchumbu and Umhlongo. One of his name was Ubebe. Umchumbu was an albino, so he would wayifihla kakhulu because of the stigma that came with being an albino. So his father passed away, and then he was called to take over as a king of Elangen. So normally you would come with a spear and you step a tomb as an heir, and then you take over. They sent about 3 messages, and then he did not respond until they spoke to Umhlongo, Unjomana. You know what? Young as you are, just take over, because your brother is not responding. Few weeks after, he came and said, no, I want what's mine. And then they said, but we sent you so many messages, you did not respond. But how ben libele? This is why to akula mini abanye belibele. And then those who were on the side of Umhlongo, they composed a song on the spot. But Unjomano zenzi inkosi ihukwela phezukwe echunjoma uzenzi inkosi bathi ukhwela phezukwethi Umhlongo sezenzi inkosi bathi ukhwela phezukwe Unjoma uzenzi inkosi. I've just presented an empirical evidence. If you go to the Mhlongo family, they will tell you about this song. Sometimes when they have gatherings, they always ask, please, can we not sing this song? Because it separates us. You know, but there are no blank pages in history, as we all know. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I am presenting here is just an eye-opener around the things that you already know. That as we are celebrating, no, we are not celebrating, as we are commemorating the Battle of Isandlwana, 140 years, let us not make it a party, because people died. When we go to these ceremonies, at least meditate on the heroes that fought for us. Meditate on the women who prayed for their husbands as they were going to the battlefield, because it is said that all the heads of the households, they called everyone and they said, you guys, you need to take care of these households because we may not come back. And they were not promised any tender. To challenge today's government, what is it that they are willing to do for their people without expecting kickbacks? There's a guy by the name of Umkhosana Okabiela. They said, as they were preparing for this battle, he danced to a gear. As he came back, they continued bambongela. And then you make this a party, a celebration. Kuze kudliwe kukhala ukuthi ayi catering kumele yekubani ngeimpilo zabantu abanikela ngazo. So these are the things that we need to address. One of the things that worries me in the modern day is the place for culture and how we construe the preservation of culture. I had hoped that some of the people from the Department of Arts would be here so that I can face them and ask them that, what do you achieve on Heritage Day when you call people into the stadium and they sing and dance and then they drink and they go? The only thing happens is that tourists, they take pictures and they sell them. That's it. So these are paradoxical issues that we need to address. Because we can sit here and talk about all the heroes that were there in the Battle of Isandlwana, and then what after? Because all the time. And one of the things that I was questioning, it's easier for people to say, hey, I can see again into zasendulo, into zakudala. But when you unpack the word endulo, does not necessarily mean old, but abantu abandulela, laba babekade bengakafiki ngaphambilini, it may still be relevant to you. So many things went wrong to an extent that things that are written in the Bible are affecting us all. You hear people saying, Bayete ngonyama, bayet, bayete ngonyama, bayet, bayete ngonyama, bayete, bayete ngonyama. When you say bayete to Jesus, what do you mean? Because King Shaka is the only bayete. Ngisho uJesu sethanda akakwazi ukuba bayete. Not in a degrading manner. I can state facts. Etymologically, the word bayete is derived from a dialect that is called Yeyeza or Ugutefuya. King Shaka would go into a family temple, Emsamo, and athemeleze athi usoshangana usenqayiye iyaphuma impilo namhlanje iya kwasoshangana uma niqeda wasoshangana niphuma inqina bahambe bawuzingela kuthiwa nithathe ngisho intombi zakhona nibuye nazo la. The response of the regiments would be, wena wendlovu bayethe, meaning bring them, we are ready for them. So now when you say bayethe Jesu, what do you mean? Because there was an instance where Jesus, with his disciples, one of them got angry and took his sword and cut an ear of that person. And they said Jesus took that ear and brought it back. He never paga any impi. Yes, it's plagiarism. We need to arrest them. So, I'm so happy that Dr. Mazibu, they are working on this beautiful project of revisiting the Bible, because there are so many wrong things. Those who went to missionary schools sold us out because they were busy pleasing their masters. Yeah, a mahubo, yes. So if David wrote this, what do you call it? It's a mahubo. Mahubo, okay. And then they document it like that, and then it's distributed to generations. What can you say now? I had this debate about Bayet, and they said, yes, it doesn't matter, but God hears us. Some said, are you saying God promotes mediocrity? No. So, Battle of Isandlwana should also be positioned as an African victory. A Zulu nation, amaXhosa, amaVenda, we are nothing without each other. King Mshweshwe in 1878 also conquered the Boers in Val. We never hear about that. It's like, oh, the mighty Zulu nation. It's not only all of us. We all were affected by colonialism. So when we are addressing the issues of tribalism, we should take a moment and then look at ourselves. We are all brown. We are not black. We are brown. Senzundu. One of the reasons I admire King Mshweshwe, when he named his nation, he said, Riba Sotho, meaning we are brown. I so wish we could call this country the Republic of Basotho, the Republic of Brown people. Because it's a fact, we are brown, we are not black. If I were to take this cowhide shield, this is black, and we are nothing like this. Whilst I'm on the deviation of the terminological expansions, words like worshipping of the ancestors, it's very wrong. you worship God only, the only creator, but God used your ancestors to bring you to this world. And you go to do a DNA test, they can trace all the ancestors in your system. There are people who are gifted to an extent that when they look straight into your eyes, they can see like 500 years back of your ancestors. It can be verifiable. Let's address the word ukukhonza. If I'm with uVilakazi, if I'm with Rafael Vilakazi, and then someone who is a Vilakazi at home calls me and I say, hey, you won't believe this, as we speak, I'm with another Vilakazi here. He will say, how uzongikhonzele kuyena? Kushuthi that particular person is asking me ukuthi ngikhonze umuntu wakubo ongamazi on his behalf. And then later when our forefathers or our parents pass away, we would use an animal to gather people. Let me address this. So many things in the modern days have been twisted by Zangoma and pastors. And those people, they need a dialogue. They would make you feel like an animal can get you blessings from your ancestors, which is impossible. What is the main reason for having an animal when you're doing a ritual? Is for people to be able to eat. And after people have eaten, bazoti, mkhathini siyabonga sibusile, and they leave blessings in the household. When we say sikhonza amadlozi sihlaba, what is actually happening? Sisuke sithumela umkhonzo ezweni labakamoya sithi, if you were still around, we're going to fellowship with you. But in your name today, we are safeguarding the history and the heritage of this household. So what I'm saying is, we need to give our kids a logical explanation behind these rituals, these cultures, so that it doesn't become voodoo. You see musicians, when they go overseas to please amateurist, they tell all the lies. Now the spirit of Shaka, when someone makes that noise, it means they have spirits that needs to be cleansed. You can be gifted as a sangoma without making any noise if you are well trained. And another thing that we need to challenge is sangoma. When are they telling people good news? It's like each time they say, hey, I'm seeing a rolling car. It's the same mechanism that is used by churches. They tell you about the heaven that they have never been to so that you can give money. It's the same thing with the sangomas. They do the same thing. They make you feel like they have access to your ancestors more than you do. So what does this mean? It means we need to go home and study our history so that you can move forward. Study your history. Know which part of the year does your family practice a certain ritual in remembering your ancestors, so that when an Isangoma approaches you, he say, no, we did that last month, so thank you. You know. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and have a kick-ass weekend.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am supposed to handle the item of questions and answers. But before that, perhaps wearing now the Mellon Foundation hat, I would like to thank Mbuso Khoza very much for having interacted with us for these 3 months. And also thank him very much for the way he has set an example for other artists. He interacted quite a lot with us and even went beyond his time here. When his voice broke, I just thought, well, there it is, the end of it. I'm sure he's not going to come anymore. His time has passed, but I'm grateful he came back and wrapped it well. We'll always quote him as an example of how the artists in residence can behave. Thank you very much for that.
That is it.
Also, there are just certain things that I feel as Zulu. I cannot sit down and start this question and answer. If you can give me about 5 minutes. Just to explain some of the things that I've heard here. The issues about Zulu and his brother Kwabe. There are 2 Zulus, Zulu 1 and Zulu 2, who comes after the first Zulu. So the first Zulu was the last born, and Kwabe was the firstborn. So Kwabe remained the main chief, and Zulu stayed with his mother, but because the firstborn had gone somewhere to establish his kingdom, Zulu stayed behind. Then the people there said, okay, we also need a king here. But his mother was a powerful queen, very, very powerful. I think it was Queen Nozinja, if I remember well. Yes. And she's the one who was a farmer. We should always give credit to that queen. The one who started farming these Nguni cattle. And then he farmed them for his last-born son. The kingdom grew stronger and stronger. But that young Zulu was still a minor to his brother. So for quite a long time, until up to King Shaka, the Zulu monarchy was a very junior monarchy under the kingdom of Mteto. That's why when Nandi saw that he had problems with the Zulu people, he went to the Mtetwas with the knowledge that there she was beyond the touch of the Zulu people as a young kingdom, right? So you should know that. So up to this, then the issues changed because Shaka grew there and then came back. So he took that kingdom and made this kingdom that is called the Zulu kingdom today. But it was actually the great kingdom of King Dingizwai. And then he mixed it with some kingdom from King Zwide after conquering him. So the Zulu people were very minor, small kingdom. Right, so that's why then people talk about Shaka, because he combined these 2 big kingdoms, Zwide's kingdom and Mteto's kingdom. Then also, just for interest's sake, I'm not making a speech. The Zulu people have been appropriating a lot. What is called Ndabezitha today does not belong to the Zulu kingdom. It was bought from another queen. He said, go to your hamba kumalume wako uthi akuphe We were called ubololwenja. There's something about the genitals of a dog. So he said, no, but we don't want, it's a bad thing. So we got it from the people on the river. But I'll remember anyway. It has just gone out. Then, Shepston. Shepston is still here. The head of his grandchild is still here. The one who he wanted he wanted to fight with King Petrov. He used any excuse to fight. He wanted this fight to start. And then how this fight started was an issue of GB, violence against women. A young man whose father was a general at Ulundi, Sihao, was angry that their mothers, that is, Sihao had several women. Mamchali in particular had become a Christian and was on the other side at Rocks Drift and was serving these white people tea. And it angered. You know, that area in Msinga was the buffer zone. So they were crossing, and they'd cross over to serve white people what? Tea. And they say it was not only tea. There was a suspicion that there was another tea that was being served. So it angered people a lot there. So the young Sihao moved from Ulundi. I'm not sure whether it was under the instruction of his father, who was a general. He came there, he went there, in fact, dragged his mother and put a rope around his neck and dragged him with a horse across the river that was the border, and then strangled him by pulling the rope. Those of you who may be interested in that, I can just photocopy it and send to you. It is a sad story to read. And today we are battling about issues of men who don't respect women. Here is a child who killed his mother in the most ruthless way. And as a man, I'm saying we men, I'm not generalizing, but there are monsters like Sihao who do not see that certain people deserve to be respected. So let us respect all people. Having said that, I would call for questions now. We will ask questions. Let's start with 3 questions, three, and then give Mbuso a chance to answer those questions. You can ungabuza ngesiZulu, and nawe mnumzana Khoza ungaphendula ngesiZulu. You can ask in English, you can respond in English, noma ngesiZulu, noma umixe these codes. There's also a language that is very, I hear it quite a lot here, Sesotho, just that sometimes we forget. So, how about bua ka Sesotho? Ubue ka Sesotho ke tla o tolikela. Ke tla ba tolo. Amahubo in Sesotho are difela. We also have types of difela. Okay. Including Mukoroto is one of them. And okay, I'm taking questions 1, 2, 3. Then Mbuso will respond. Let's start with you.
Ndingathetha ndihleli phantsi?
Yeah.
Okay. Cama Queen. Lisedi, Thokozani, siyakhuleka emakhosini, siyakhuleka emadlozini. Ndinesicelo kuqala tata. Qho xa sisiza kwi-seminars, nakule ibikhona kaXhamela utata uBantu Biko. Kubakho le session kuthe question and answers. La session inikeza imboni yokuba asinazo thina izimvu because ukuthiwa buza uyabona and then nikwe impendulo kubuzwe kunikwe impendulo, so sicela ukuhlomla ke ngoku ngakumbi ngoba ke sisesikolweni ese-university enye yenjongo zazo kuqinisekisa loba kuphuhlisa indlela yethu yokucinga khona ukuze sibe nokwazi into yoba sincedise isizwe kwizinto ezidla umzi. So ndiyacela into yoba esi sikolo sohlukane nento yokuba kuthi xa kwi-seminars kuthiwe masibuze imibuzo and then sizawuphendula ngongathi thina asinanto siyaziyo esingancedisa ngayo kwimiba ekuziwa nayo. So ndiyasicela isikolo because izawuphela ingumkhuba loo nto leyo. Andifuni ke ukuthetha ngolo hlobo ngoba sikhokelwa ngabantu abadala, ayisiyo ndlela yethu yokuthetha leyo, kodwa ke izinto xa ziyekwa ngolu hlobo ziphela ingabi nosiko, iphela seyingumkhuba, kulandelwa umkhuba kuthiwe lisiko. Umhlekazi uKhoza uthetha ngokanda kwenani labantu abangoomama ezinkonzweni. Uba ndimva kakuhle uthi xa ethetha loo nto leyo ayidibanise intsusa yayo nokufika kwe-missionaries or nokufika kwabacinezeli abangabelungu namabhulu. Into angayiveziyo kukuba uphando olwenziweyo ngakumbi kwi-gender studies lusixelela into yokuba inkonzo yokuqala eyabakhona eAfrika ya-establishwa e-Ethiopia ngumntu ongumama. There's a study esenziweyo apha kule university yaKwaZulu-Natal, and bazi abantu bakwa-gender studies bakhona na. I think uProfessor Ojong is one of the people who did the study esenza apha kulo mhlaba wakwaZulu. Sigxile kwizangoma. But i-study, I'll just go to the findings. Sibonakalisa into yoba abantu abangomama bangabona abantu banesiphiwo sakwamoya. Iziphiwo zakwamoya ke zininzi, kodwa ke kulo umbanza uxela kwisipho sokuthandaza nesipho sokuphilisa. Xa ndithetha kulomba I would like to use my own lived experiences. Ndithethe ndithi ngexesha ndisefothe ndifunda kubunzima ndandijongene nabo. Bendithi xa ndiyobhala exams kuvunywe ingoma ivunywa zizithunywa, ibingavunywa ngamaxhego, ibivunywa ngabantu abangomama. Ukuza kwam kule university andizizelanga kwathethwa amazwi ezithunywa abantu abangomama, ndaze ndibe kanti ndiyakwazi ukungena apha ndenza gender studies. So ezi zinto xa sizithetha ingase kungaveli icala elinye, uyabona kuvele macala onke. From that knowledge and my own lived experiences, I then conclude that abantu abangomama noxa nje esitsho, which is true that colonization and Christianity did have an impact on how women view the whole ideology of Jesus, because it's an ideology. But we cannot then sideline the fact that women are highly spiritual, and it's a gift that is a God-given gift. So which is why sinomama bomthandazo, which is why nasekhaya umuntu okhulekayo siyazi ukuthi sikhulekelwa ngomama. Uyabona, ndidlule ngokukhawuleza. Kumba wasesandlwane ndinemibuzo emininzi ekudala ndizibuza yona. Indlu kaZulu umzekelo xa kungoku nijongene nezixholo-xholo zokuliwa zepolitiki apho kubulawa khona i-violence, you know, kangoba ndithe xa ndifika apha kwakukho I promo on cause where Mayor speaks about I'm abophele ubulelesi kwaZulu. Now my question is, ingaba indlu kaZulu yayizihlambile na izikhali ngoba zininzi impi eziliweyo? Okwesibini, yintoni eyenziwayo kwindlu kwaZulu ukuqinisekisa into yoba ngaphandle kokuba zisenziwa as National Lantuka commemorations, but nide niye nini encome nithi niyophakamisa imimoya yezihlwele ezafaya zisilelwa lo mhlaba. And I'm not sure we still have time, but I have the last one on idlozi. Okay.
Ake ngithi nje izimvo zikabhuti ngiyazizwa. Uma une comment shono nje ukuthi comment nje ngoba esekhulumile ucommentile simzwile. Angangithembi ukuthi khona okudingekayo ukuthi umnumzana uKhoza akuphendule ube comment. Uma ngabe kukhona kodwa usenga commenta ake ngithi umuntu uma ene comment asho nje ukuthi comment bese ngicela ke ukuthi uma ngabe siyabuza imibuzo icije ibe mifisha sesiyacela nje ngithe sigcina nesikhathi asithi sekunje sesiyacela nje no program director ukuthi anginicele nicijise imibuzo kuze sithi noma sesiphendula nako sikwenza. Ngicela ke uma ngabe kukhona ozokuphendula kunote phansi ngizobuza imibuzo emithathu ukuthi number 1 bese sithi number 2 then number 3 kanjalo nje. Uma uyicomment usitshele nje comment. Siyabonga.
Sanibona. Mhlawumbe nami njengomfowethu uBhomela ngizacela ukuthi nami ngihlalele ngaphansi ngindoda ejwayele ngumuntu ojwayele ukuma kodwa ngicela ukuthi nje ngoba siyaxoxa nami ngihlale phansi ngidlule nje ngibeka umbono la bese mhlambe ngibuza ngokuphuthuma ngenxa yesikhathi. Sibonge emkhathini umbelo wakho uhlezi ugwantsile kumnandi ukuncela kuwo. Mhlambe khona into esho umfowethu waBhomela esingayinakanga. The Colonial Academy esikuyona esiyibiza ngenyuvesi noma kwaNgqondonkulu ngalabo abathi bazi ulimi. Inendlela ethizeni yokukhiqiza ulwazi enayo esizisayithatha sathi noma sithi sifuna ukufunda ukulikhiqiza ngendlela ehlukileyo ulwazi kodwa sayibamba yona saqhubeka nayo. Asifuni ke yona ukuphuma kuyona. When it's knowledge production time or where we are engaging knowledge, there is always an authority and there's always those who are below that authority. And that authority then we were to not engage knowledge and present knowledges and allow the space for that. We are always pressed for time, specifically always when it comes to the engagement of the knowledge presented by the authority. And that is problematic for people who want to speak decoloniality, decolonization and all these nice things, which has made some of us who have went on the streets demanding decolonized education to think that academics, what they have done with what we're fighting for is to appropriate it for themselves and then turn it into an industry upon which they get praise for. And they do not mean what they talk about when they speak decolonization. Because when we fought for this thing, what we're saying is that we want to change the way knowledge is produced and knowledge disseminated in the academy, so as we are able to rethink ourselves and relearn ourselves as African people. But it seems there is no seriousness into that effect. I thought I must pass there. But where I'm going in Mkhatini, I want to ask a question, which I know maybe, I don't know, angifuna ukufaka enkingeni Mkhatini. Uzophendula lo mbuzo ma uzibona mhlawumbe uvikeleke ngokwanele ukuthi uphendule. Kodwa futhi mawubona ukuthi mhlawumbe awukho ekuvikelekeni okuhle mhlawumbe singawuxoxa ngaphandle kwamakhamera. Umlomo ongathethi imanga. Isilo sethu samabandla uzwelithini kune zembatho azembathayo. Lezazembatho masithatha sibuka sihlehla noma ke sesifunda njengabantu abathanda ulwazi siye sizifanise nezembatho ezigqokwayo laba abantu ababizwa ngama lords wendlovukazi yamangisi. Uyayigqoke ke owangasentla kodwa ke bese faka okuyingwe nje lapho nalapho ukukhombisa ukuthi mhlambe sesizinike uAfrika. Mhlambe uthini umbono wakho mkhathini ngokulokho esikubiza the royalty garb of isilo samabandla. Isho ukuthina leyanto kumele siyibuke ngaliphi iso. I would also like your comment on maybe just a feathering of the point, because you made the point when you were speaking about Western methodology, especially in music and the national anthem, but also in the colonial pedagogy itself, in all its facets. I would like your comment on that. Because also we are in a university that likes to claim that it's a university of premier African scholarship, or whatever it says. The last point, how much of the traces of coloniality now, not colonialism itself, but coloniality in our daily living, in how we present our history, in how we talk about our history, in how we sing, in how we present our arts, in how we view our arts and culture. But the last point is a question I always ask cultural activists and those like some of us who like to speak about the liberation of African people in the main, is we are a landless people, we agree on that. We're an oppressed people, we're an enslaved people, we're a colonized people. We live in a colonial society, in a colonial country. In the main, if besingoyibuka ngeso labantu bakithi labaphila eMelika besothi siphila in the plantation of the master, we are slaves. Now the question I always ask is this one: what culture, what arts, what of ourselves do we have if the whole of ourselves is owned and directed by others? The question is, what culture does the oppressed have in the states of their oppression?
I have comment and question. So I'm Christian. I would just like to thank Umbuso for actually saying, I think I'm gonna paraphrase, not quote, paraphrase you. You said Christians make Christianity look bad. It's not Jesus. You're saying you have nothing against Jesus. It's the Christians. So it's the people that say they worship Jesus. And I'd like to thank you for making such a statement, because it's the truth. It's the actual truth. And myself as a fellow Christian really believe that as well. Ukuthi inkolo yethu yithe simoshela abantu. And kubuhlungu because personally, I would really like people to know about Jesuami more than they do, but it's because of Abantes Konzanabo, people that we go to church with, that make it become like such a bad thing. So thank you for that statement. And then Umbuzowami, you said Amahubo, David's songs, shouldn't have been called Amahubo. For interest's sake, you explained it and I understood it, but for interest's sake, would you not say David's experiences with his God at the time led him to actually have a book of Psalms, or led us to now have a book of Psalms eBhayibhelini? Ukuthi ngobuthi amahubo was into eyenzakalayo, like ngobuka dusho ukuthi the rivers became full, nan. Now again, like there's a psalm, my favorite psalm in the Bible is, "What is man that thou art so mindful of him? A mere mortal that you care for him so much," which is Psalm 8 verse 4. But ngifuna siye lapho, because I'd really like to know, for interest's sake, ukuthi was it not his personal experiences that made them regarded as a psalm? Thank you.
I'm not answering for Koza, but the issue of Amahubo and hymns is that the missionaries appropriated some aspects of Amahubo and said, okay, these people believe in this. If we can change this belief system, or they sing this, and then if we can make it closer to this, because even in Sutu, what is called the Fila was not like this as it is in Christianity. You can check other religions as well. So missionaries looked at the belief that was there. I mean, Koza has indicated that there was a lot of belief, there was a lot of church I'm using the word church for English, but in kolo ngesintu. And that woman in Africa that you talked about was also in that. We also know, if we talk about Mushweshwe lived with prophetess Mantsupa before the white people came. She was a very powerful prophet. They believed in God, they were praying. Also, we know the Hadebe Zomtimkulu, where the people were praying for rain. Langa Lebalele was one of the chiefs. If they pray, then it would rain. In their own way, I'm using the word pray, but these are the ways that are now being used. Kuleka in a traditional way would mean the traditional way that that people talked to God. But that word was replaced for prayer. Oh man kuleka nensasiyatanas, etc., etc. I'm giving over to Mbuso Koza and answer some of the questions or comments in brief. We are not complaining about time. We like this dialogue, but I'm just saying we want to give another set of questions some space.
I'll
If we
just
could- okay.
I'll just go straight to the Amahubo and David. Firstly, in language, there are semantic applicabilities, which is a study about the meanings of words, and then you have morphemes on how the word is structured. Deeper than that, you have an onomatopoeia aspect of the language, meaning the sounds that are derived from, the meanings that are derived from the sounds. I went to Eklobo last weekend, and I was asking myself, why is it called Eklobo? And then that onomatopoeic aspect came in. When the cows are walking on a muddy ground, that's how the name came. So when we come back to Amahubo, we need to understand that the reason Amahubo are called Amahubo today, there are semantic applicabilities and the histories behind those words. With David, we need to know what inspired him to write those songs. It was God, it was him sleeping with many women at that time, and he went back to God and say, Lord, I'm sorry. He would strip naked, dancing to God. But Amahubo, in our culture, in our history, they are documenting the happenings of our nation. This is why they serve the scroll of the nation. And two, there is no notation on David's lyrics in the Bible. If there was a notation on a staff that say the Lord is my shepherd, and then you know the harmony, how it goes, and then it would say, okay, he qualifies that he wrote Amahubo. But practically, historically, factually, there is no way that David wrote Amahubo. He wrote about the stories about his life. He was very poetic. This is why these are poems. But in Amahubo, a poem is poem is just an aspect to it. For instance, the song that we just sang, Zulu salwa nempi yamadube sanjwana. What does it mean? Zulu salwa nempi yamadube sanjwana. Because people were fighting in the mountain, Petrov Sanjwana. But because of the black and white fighting and the horses in different colors, black and white, lying on the mountain after the battle, some said, Intaba yashoba njengamadube Zulu salwa nempi yamadube eSanjwana. It was poetic. You see, so I can stand for this. I've checked it. uDavide akawabhalanga amahubo wabhala inkondlo nemizwa yakhe ngoNkulunkulu. This is why it's very dangerous to associate our things that has histories with the things that have history that we don't have facts about. Now coming to my brother here. When I said one of the reasons women are flocking into churches are the result of the effects of the colonialism because of the family violence and other reasons. I did not mean that women are not capable of being effectively spiritual. But I was stating a historical fact that when our forefathers were going to hold these imbizo, as they were preparing for the Battle of Isanjana, Abo Shepstein would come and convince our mothers to leave their traditions. Is it Dwaba, which today they serve as artifacts today. We can't use them, they're outdated culturally because of the evolutions that were orchestrated by the colonizer. The only place that they felt safe in was church at that time. But that church came with a different culture. It embodied an English culture. This is why some of these churches are called Anglican. It's an anglicized version of Christianity. This is why, I always complain that if I'm holding my cowhide shield and a stick, uvugu. But if I were to wear that rope, that garment, Roma, and then you go to Anglicans, tonologically, harmonically, it's out. It has nothing to do with the colonization of an ear and a tonality. So that's where my focus was on. And again, if we were to get into the first congregation in Ethiopia, we may have to get into the details of the ideologies. Was it Judaism? Was it Christianity? Was it based on Torah, Talmud, or New Testament? Because there were things that took place in 145 AD when Constantine, who was a son of Saint Helena is a mother to Constantine, the very same Constantine that was named after that island where King Dinuzulu was taken in 1906. They gathered in 145 AD in pursuit of authorizing which scriptures should go to the Bible. People like Bar Abba, you hear about Barnabas, but it's Bar Abba, like Bar, son, Abba of God. His gospels were kicked out during that council of Nicaea. So now, when you go to the Ethiopia before was Kush, later was Abyssinia, now it's Ethiopia. Right. What ideology was that church? You see, this is why I'm saying when we talk about these things, I'm happy that we have fresh minds like you guys. You are going to help us to take our culture forward by asking uncomfortable questions. So my presentation today was only based on that Ndabezita Nebanda. What was the other? Oh yes, the regalia. I always complain about it. The history of why King of the Zulu nation wears that regalia. It is said that each time his forefather was visited by the colonizers, they would wear that thing and they would make him feel like he's inferior on his animal skins. So they say there was this day when he was visited and then he decided to get his and said, yeah, we're on the same position now, what are you saying? So I think he wears that based on a sentiment. But however, it sends a wrong signal because you'll never see Queen Victoria wearing a isitwaba. Inkosi inkosi ngabantu. Mina, I appreciate that comment. Thank you.
Sanbon, mhlambe umbuzo wami, it's really not directed to Umkhathini. but it is directed to, I'm sad to Guti, Prof Longo has left. It's directed to the professors, Abakona, like Ndabezita, no Pet, Nabanya Bakona. Umbuso is talking about ukuthi kufanele sazi ukuthi singobani. My question is, what is the university doing about lento eyenziwa umbuso? Ngoba i-university iphila emphakathini wabantu, ayiphili nje la e-university kuphela. So what is it doing? Because ngokwami it just doesn't help ukuthi sizobona kuphela lezinto zenzeka uma ngabe si-invitwe kwi-lecture eyenziwa umbuso, kodwa ibi-university ingakuthathi lokhu ikulethe to our communities la ikhona khona. What is it doing? A couple of months ago we had another lecture eyayikhona la esasi-organizile nje, kodwa lo mbuzo futhi wavela, but angiyiboni i-role ye-university. Right now, even izinto ezizenzayo, what we were seeing here on stage, all we see labantwana do is to perform mangabe kuthiwa kunama conferences. You don't see them on the main stage. You only see them welcoming guests kulaw to abazocola just outside the ICC. What is the role of the university? Kulezi zinto. What is it doing to see to it? My brother here behind me was talking about the decolonization. What is the university doing? I know ukuthi mhlambe ngoba kureportwa kubantu abathize uma ngabe velinise university and whatever kuye kube nzima, but we cannot be sitting and talking about this in 20 years time. The very same thing esikhuluma ngayo eqala ukukhulunywa ngayo kade yaqala indaba ye decolonization, but we have not seen much. There are no resources, you know. So that's my issue. What is the university doing about this? Ngoba we wish to see ushintsho olukhulu about khona sizozazi ukuthi singobani, you know. I mean, when you go to Britain, kunama museums kunani where they talk about their own history. Where can we find our own history as African people? Kuthiwe kwakhangela amankengane la sikhona. What is showing that? Is there anything at the university ekhona nje ngenkosi uShaka la?
Ake ngithi nje ngisalinde omunye umbuzo ngithi ilembe lafika la, ngoba ilembe akusho ukuthi la lifika khona kwakungena abantu base belithambele ukuthi akathimba la kwakhona abantu bakwaThusi kule ndawo esikuyo. Yingako abanye bethu bethanda engathi kungathiwa le Howard College kuseThusi. Okunye nje sengikusho ngoba siyakwazi lo hayi ukuthi ilembe lafika la kunenamuntu bawela ngaphansi kwaloko ilembe laba bakwaThusi bese ngikusho nje, kodwa ngikuzwile ukuthi uthini. Uma ungake ungibhalele lezinto ongibhalele zona uzithumele kimi, mina ngizosithumela ku rector we university uthi nje Zulu N bese ukufaka lokho UKZN. Mina ngizomthuka ukuthi kunale concern le, ngizobuza lo mbuzo uthi wena i-university yenzani bese ngithumela yena ke ngithi akuphendule. Ngiyabonga ngombuzo.
Umbuzo wami mfishane nje. Ngokwazi umlando wezinye izizwe njengoGauli or Britain nani before bebe colonized by Roman. Ngibona okuningi okufana between isizwe sethu nehistory yethu lezinye izizwe before kwenzeka kwama-Roman, because ushintsho emhlabeni kwenza ngesikhathi sama-Roman. So ngaphezu kwalo mcabango nokucabanga lamazwi axoxwe njengokuthi o decolonization nokuthi ulwazi lwethu lifanele thina lusakhele into eyaphambili. Mina ngifuna ukwazi kambe ngokwakho baba ukuthi yini into esukusivimba thina ngoba njengoba echaza ubaba la ukuthi akusiza ukukhuluma into 20 years 30 years 40 years ukukhuluma into eyodwa. Lokho sinaka ukuthi ke emuva kwakunje sekunje nakho sisazazi ukuthi noma sisazi kangconyana ukuthi sabantu abanje ngeke sikushintshe sokwenzeka kodwa okubhekena phambili lokuba into ngachaza sa renaissance ngachaza kanjalo ukuthi singakwazi ukuvuka yini njengesizwe thina futhi njengaphambilini with encompassing lezi zinto eseyishintshile ngoba ngeke sithi so izinto ezithile sibone ukuthi there's actual usefulness kuzona bonke ukugqoka isidwaba ngeke umuntu egqoke isidwaba manje sesazi ukuthi vele kasiza ukuthi ekwazi ukugibela ihambe inyanga gibele egqoke ingubo ethini into kanjalo. So mesilo esikhuluma indaba zo decolonization nani is it just ngoba uwishaya isifuba ukuthi ya ngoba ngifana nobulungu ugcine lapho or is it really to change impilo zethu nekusasa nezingane zethu ukuthi ya kwenzeka lokhu nalokho kodwa out of this saba elokho and sakhetha ukuba elokho sakhetha ukwakha lokhu ngoba sekwenzeke lokho sesazi nathi ukuthi okwenzeka kwezinye izinto kanje emhlabeni ngilapho nje kuphela mina.
Ninjani? Igama lami nguSipho Menzeka yisentombela. Umfundi wakuyona le nyuvesi. No, I will just go straight to umbuzo wami. Mina umbuzo wami concerns a topic that I think everyone will be aware of. Siyabonga ngehistory what usifundisa yona namhlanje. Ngithanda ngithole ngilalele most of the time. But my concern is siyini thina njengabantu abansundu ngaphandle kwalokho kusenza sibe abantu. Mangichaza usoma wachaza kamnandi wathi saba ingabade leningizimu Afrika. Ingabade echaza wona izwe lethu leli esiyilo thina, meaning that ngaphandle kwezwe lethu ubukhona bethu nabo is brought into question. What is us without that defining factor which is ingabade lelisithi si represent lo lengabade lelisithi sibona ngayo. Wona mbuzo wami lo ngiyabonga.
A major expression of fear is the need to work and earn. This is why the issue of land is so sensitive to us, because they've taken away the land, and then in order for you to survive, you need to work and earn. On top of that, these methods that help us to live, they affect our cultures. To give you another example, I remember at home, if you don't have a piece of land, any family member would just say, "Awu akesinikeze nangu umhlaba akalimi kuze kwaziyo ukuthi ulime emhlabeni wakwabani kugcine sekungowakhe." But the battle of Isandlwana as a topic is a pregnant topic, because that's when the land was taken. However, our fellow brown people contributed to this. Babefika ngasekhaya bakhona abasekho abantu abakama ngezandla manje. I'll go back to English, my brother is here. They would come to you, bakupe isibuko, a mirror. Tina, growing up, we use water sometimes to look at you, to reflect on yourself after taking a bath in a river. Now, a white man is coming into your household and saying, "Hey, we're looking for a piece of land, man. We are I mean, we've been moving all over. And then we have, here is a gift. And then you look at the mirror like, oh, when goes lapha? And then, one guy like, oh, this is beautiful. And then they give you a shambok and a nice trouser. And then because, I mean, brown people are so kind. Bese bethi, hayi inkosana, uzothatha nje lapha. Bese hambe yobiza abangani bakhe. Nah. Do you see where the problem is? It's not like it's only that the land was taken violently, but our black people also contributed. They gave the land away. And even during that Battle of Isandlwana, Abomlife were fighting on the side of the British, black people. So when we speak of the issue of land, it's not like you wake up in the morning and you say you want to take the land back. And another thing, I went to Zimbabwe earlier this year. I asked a random question as I was moving around and say, if Mugabe were to step down, do you think you guys would be in a good governance? And then he said, because you don't know, let me tell you. Mugabe has taught us a lot about the importance of land, and as we speak today, we know how to use land. South Africans, do you know how to use land? Yini kong, yini gabe. Yeah, but I'm just asking basic questions. Because if you don't know Igabe, it means it's something that you buy every day in a shop from a farmer. It means you can't use the land. So the day we say the land comes back into the hands of the people, do you know what's going to happen? We're going to lease it back to the Afrikaners. It's a very, very sensitive issue. You know, we really need to track it carefully, the manner and the methods that we will use, because we can't just wake up and say we're fighting for our land and then they give you the evidence and say your forefather gave it to me. So that's something to think about. It's the same thing with Americans. The only thing that maybe for now I can encourage to you guys, let us develop a philosophy of Africanness. What determines you as an African beyond Ihau, beyond Ikumba, Zilwan? Because you'd see the Heritage Day as Ubabu Vilagaza, yini nenza ngaphandle kokuhlanganisa abantu ukuthi abashaya ingoma. Dehumanization of our music. When Steve Harvey is here, they just say, let's call these Zulu dancers and Tswana dancers and Xhosa bezoxhensa. As the guest is moving, and like Steve Harvey, oh my goodness, oh wow. It's like, what else after? Americans, they really safeguard their heritage. When you go to America, you'll never see spiritual singers waiting for you at the airport. Swing a chariot, take me home. Dum 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 to swing. No, you'll never see that. Because it's spiritual to them. And when we are addressing the issue of the importance of a language, one of the things that were done to our forefathers in 1619 August was that when they were taken into this America as black people, when you try to have a conversation in your language, they will make an example with one person, they cut their tongue out and say, what else? And then churches were built as a place where they can gather and continue to being enslaved, to an extent that they started to sing in English. This is why when you're listening to our Beyonce, I am gonna ride up in the chariot. Woo, oh yeah. Come on, somebody. And I'm South Africans. South Africans are busy copying Americans now. Especially those who are doing jazz. To an extent that they claim that the roots of jazz can be traced in Africa, but by the virtue of DNA. But what inspired Americans to do what they're doing there? What inspires us in Africa to sing the way we sing here? Because when they are crying, they are remembering their pains. But we have forgotten about our pains. We go to church and we say, when you come to Jesus, all has passed. But Jesus was found when they were busy. Judas, and Judas said, but this is the most expensive oil. Why are you using it like this? Because there are people who are poor out there. And then Jesus said, do you think poor people will ever end? Thank you.
Right, let's close it on that note. A big applause, please, for Mbuso Khoza. Professor Washington will do the vote of thanks. I believe thereafter we'll get an announcement from Dr. Opondo. My session is over. Can I say I'm thinking he's going to do so on our behalf. There's a cell phone here. Is it yours?
In all my time here, the few years that I've been at UKZN, I haven't seen an event quite like this one. For me, it is true what is implied, that the university has not done enough for transformation. But it is also true that we have witnessed the beginnings of transformation in this lecture and in this presentation. For me, from the very beginning, when Prof. Slongwa raised song and dance as the beginning of her welcome, we were witnessing a new epistemology. Not a new epistemology, but one that is different from what usually obtains in the halls of academia. And for me, this set the tone. When Mbuso Khoza began his lecture, he began with the African Heritage Ensemble. He began with a prayer. Again, this is different from the normal kind of quotidian practice of academia. I have witnessed this occasion, which is mostly in isiZulu, which it should be, given where we are. Again, it's not always that way at UKZN. And then there was the actual content and the courage of the lecture. I'm, as a scholar, very much appreciative of the range of ideas and the range of voices that Mbuso Khoza brings to this presentation. He talks about etymology, he talked about theology, he talked about history, he talked about tonality. Many of us here are musicians. So Professor Gawu up in Ghana is talking about the colonial power of tonality. Africa Mkhize talks about the fact that in South Africa we have harmony. When you go up north, everything is in unison. That there's a relationship between polymetric rhythms and polyvocal harmonies. This we don't talk about that much. So for you to have the courage to challenge our understanding of religion, to challenge our understanding of our own history, is a very beautiful thing to see. And to have people in the question and answer actually deliver their own lectures is another aspect of transformation that we witnessed here today. So is it enough? No. Is it a courageous and beautiful beginning? In my opinion, yes. So we give thanks to all of you who have participated today. And we give a special thanks to Mbuzo Koza, who has done us proud by being courageous, by knowing his history and presenting it in a way that provokes thought, that provokes an adherence to ourselves. And so that is a very beautiful thing. And on behalf of the university, the PR people especially, we'd like to give you this token of gratitude, Mr. Koza, please. Yebo, kubonga mi.
Okay, I have a few words, and just to tell you what's happening next. First of all, thank you, the audience. It's a Friday. We started late. You stayed throughout. You had a lot of engaging questions. We don't take that for granted, because all the work we've prepared, we need an audience, so thank you for that. We also, as Prof. Washington was speaking, we're living in a historical moment, and it's nice that Prof. Mazibuko is also here. Because in 2009 is when we started to see a change under her leadership. That was before all the other things were in fashion. She walks the walk. And Prof, I'm so glad you can come and witness the seeds that you planted during your leadership. Mbuso, words fail me, but your work ethic, I think the African Heritage Ensemble is privileged. And I always tell my students, don't take for granted what you have. One is busy chatting away. Don't take for granted what you have, because the gift of leadership is bestowed on not everybody. Some think they're leaders, but Mbuso works hard. He breaks his back, breaks his voice, which I'm worried about, but does this for you and for all of us and for history. Prof. Washington shared with me yesterday what he's gone through. You know, we have a cluster leader who genuinely cares for his staff, cares for his students, cares for his family. And that spirit of caring is, I think, the gift that we all have. And that's what makes a difference to me, is when those in management care. The way Prof. Zulu handled graciously the questions, his view on history, the knowledge is immense. I feel like I wish I was a student of his. I wish I was a student of Prof. Washington. I wish I was a student of Prof. Mazibuko and Prof. Koza here now. He's no longer doctor, now he's professor. Because the wisdom, every other sentence they share, whether it's just so deep. And I heard the concern, there were two of you who had very good long questions. It's just that time is limited, and we have another function that we're 2 hours late for on the other side, and we have another function in Westville. So time, 12 hours, 8 hours a day isn't enough, and I know that. But perhaps this is just the beginning, because there's a thirst for knowledge, and to me what's exciting is when students are thirsting to talk and discuss. It's not just about passing an exam or plagiarizing, all those things you're being harassed about all the time. The inquiring mind is really, really exciting. And I just want to thank, and I know we meant to thank, but to thank our students. It's exam time, everything is due. So I really want to say a special thanks to AMD students, particularly Equus Oscillator, and I hope, Mbuso, you appreciated our creative efforts. Now we're going to feed you. There's lots of food. You can eat your fill and come back for more, but just as a courtesy, one plate at a time. We go once, you sit down, you eat, then you can come back after everyone else has gone the first time. I know I've been a hungry student too, but just as a courtesy. So you'll go out and then just make your immediate right. The food is amazing. I've already tasted all of it. So this brings us at the end, and I just want to thank again the Mellon Foundation, because without the funding, we don't get the caliber of artists like Mbuso. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your lunch. If you don't, yeah, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Right. Okay.